It's crazy, baby, bro. Like I watch Married with Children. In my mind, I still see it like, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's caught up with the times. I mean, just like the footage and the picture of it. It's the best taco. I think you said you had a fish taco, shrimp taco. I forgot you had like 3 tacos.
Yeah, I had 3 little tacos. It was two.
Man, shout outs to Beacon of Light for that intro, man. Gracias so much. I don't know where we got the music or anything like that, but gracias so much for that intro. So there's actually a story behind this subject that we're gonna speak on right now, man. And I went ahead and invited some special guests to basically, man, to help me break this down, dog, because I don't really know too much other than just a little bit of what I read here and there. But outside of that, I mean, that's about it. But I went ahead and invited some individuals that, they know their stuff, man. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend, man, like I'm on that level, because I am not, homie. Let me just do one thing here. Spencer. All right. So with that, let's all you familias up in here. Sanjo Blanco, Mr. Garcia. Orale, Thecholotrucker's in here. Strange Days, Andres. Ghetto Vallero, man. What's going on? Ese Benny. Shout outs to you, man. All right, I see you guys. All right. Sin City Vanquish, Spinal. I see you guys, man. Galactic. Fugu, I mean. Shout outs from the 209. That's right. All right. Hey, so without further ado, let me just go ahead and bring in one of my guests, because my other guest is running late, but he said he will be here. It will just be a couple of minutes late. All right. So with that, let me go ahead and bring in my brother, mi hermano, man, from Chicano Ideas. I'm talking about my man, Rudy. Rudy, what's going on, big dog?
Thecholotrucker. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. You know what, Holmes? You're actually in that intro, man, that Beacon of Light made for me, man. You're in that intro.
That. Yeah, I thought it was just for this video or what? Like,
No, that's an intro that a subscriber made for me, man. Shout outs to Beacon of Light. And I just watching it right now, I was just like, oh damn, man, root beer's in it, man. So I'm like, what are they? That's it. That's what's up, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's the one that picked it all out. So the music and everything, man. What's up, Sancal 805, Mob Nasty, AC, Nate Gonzalez. Okay, so again, we're also gonna have Robert Anthony, You guys know him. He's a Chicano Studies high school teacher, so he will be here join us. He got caught up in some traffic, so he will be here. So let me just go ahead and tell the story on why I wanted to talk about this. Okay, and by the way, Root Beer has not heard this either, so let me just go ahead and break it down. I got a good camarada, man. Who's he's from Southern California, but he's not with the whole gang banging thing or anything like that, man. He's a good dude, man, and he's a very positive individual and really loves the raza push. And what we're starting to see, man, is like gente coming together. You know what I mean? And I'm starting to see it too, and I've been seeing it, and he's down with that, man. He really is, and he wears, this vato gets Bono Root up, homie. He dresses to impress, right? He knows how to dress, pachuco and all that good stuff. So some of the clothes that he has, right? For instance, a vest, right? When you wear a pachuco suit, he's got the vest. In the back of the vest, it has the Huelga bird. Okay, it has the Huelga bird, and it says something like Raza Unidos, basically like Raza United and stuff like that. And what seems to happen from time to time, Spencer, is that a lot of matos come up to him and be like, "Hey, what's up, homie? You from up north, or like, what's the deal, right?" And he's all like, "Nah, that's not what it's about." And then I guess he have to explain, what it is, why it is. And that's what just kind of sparked this to me. It's like down in San Diego, there's a mural, right? Chicano Park. Chicano Park is iconic for anybody who ever comes to Southern California or more the San Diego area. You got to go to Chicano Park. There's just a La Cortura right there. And there's a mural there, and you do see the Huelga bird flag. Outside of that, I do not see the Huelga bird anywhere. Nowhere at all. And I'm going to be real. I'm going to be 100% real. Every time I see it, it sparks more of a gang interest than what it actually is. So, Rudy, my man, dog, this is like all up, up your alley, big dog.
I'll try the best that I can, man.
Yeah, but come on, man. I've talked to you, man. You're a smart individual, man. Hey, but before we get going, let's go ahead. Let's bring in my other hermano. You guys know him, Robert Anthony, from San Jose, California, Chicano Studies high school teacher. Robert Anthony, get up in here, homie.
What it do? What it do? Ed, how you doing?
How's it going? How's it going?
Hey, Robert, there's my boy Rudy. Rudy, this is Anthony.
Rudy, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
My pleasure, brother.
Two very smart individuals that can school me on this and tell us a lot about this, man. So, Robert, just to recap real quick, I got a good friend of mine, and he's all to the Raza United and everything. And when he wears his Pachuco suit, in the back of his vest is got the Huelga bird, and it says Raza Unidos. And he gets a lot of guys coming up to him, be like, "Hey, homie, like, are you from up north, or what's the deal?" And stuff like that. So that just kind of sparked this idea. He was talking to me about it, and I'm like, okay, because when I see it, it does spark a gang interest. But I want to get to the nitty gritty of it. I guess, Rudy, man, you do a lot of research, brother. You got the Huelga bird flag right behind you. Tell us a little bit about the Huelga bird, the origins, what it is, what it represents.
Well, my Huelga bird flag, I got in brown because I didn't want the stereotype red. So mine, I got the brown more for unity. And what even I could obviously, from the farmer's perspective, the history is it came out in '62 by Cesar Chavez's cousin, is what most people may not know, but as in me growing up, I could say the street perspective, as in from growing up from San Jose to Sacramento myself. Yes, a lot of youngsters don't understand that the Huelga, that Huelga even means strike. For one, a lot of people that down in, what does the Huelga mean? It means strike. Or people think that it is called the norteño or the Northern California bird. And yes, there is two different birds. The homies, Chicano homies, they use 7 steps, 14 steps instead of the traditional 10 steps that Cesar Chavez made. But so the flag was supposed to be right for the farmers' right, for the strike, for the unity and power of a people to have a symbol, to have some type of pride and understanding that we're here as a people with some dignity. Of a symbol represents power. So that's a little breakdown from my perspective and understanding.
And you grew up in Northern California, right?
Right.
So so the gang aspect of it, they modified it so it could have 7 steps on each wing.
Yes.
Okay, got you. Robert, you're a Chicano Studies high school teacher. Do you guys touch on the Huelga bird flag at all, and
We
the
do.
origins and
We do. I do touch on it because obviously you cannot do any Chicano studies without mentioning Cesar Chavez and the movement. That's Chicano 101. If you don't know anything about Chicano studies or Chicano history, most of the time you will know who Cesar Chavez is. So he's like, I always tell everybody, he's the Michael Jordan of Chicano studies. And when I mean that, I mean you might not know anything about basketball, but you know who Michael Jordan is. You might know nothing about Chicano history, but you know who Cesar Chavez is. That's why I make that reference. But yeah, we do touch on it. We do touch on it, and unfortunately, as soon as I show it, and I ask the students what this is, what the flag is, and what it represents, I have yet to have somebody tell me out loud that it was the flag of the United Farm Workers. It's always the first response is always, oh, that's the Norteño flag, or that's the Northerners flag, or you know what I mean? Always, that's the first thing. It's and then when I say, well, it is also used as that, the symbolism is used for that, right? But when I bring up, oh, it's also the United Farm, then somebody will be like, oh, I knew that. Well, okay, well, you knew that, you didn't say it. But the first response is always, oh, that's a gang symbol, that's a gang sign, or this is that, or blah blah blah. And I have to let them know, like, in reality, it's not. And I try to break it down and try to tell them what it stands for and what the origin of it is. Just like we had spoke earlier, and we had shared some information earlier where the red, everything, there's a color for everything. I know the flag's red, so a lot of people, oh, it's red, right? It's Northern California, it's red. The movement was in the north, the farmers movement. So a lot of people will get that assumption. But I've heard everything from the red being, we shared. What did you hear? Was that the red?
So I'm looking at it right here.
Right.
It says the black eagle signifies the dark situation from the farm workers.
Right.
The white stands for hope and freedom. The red stands for all the blood that was shed by the farm workers and got killed by the system.
Right.
The Huelga bird means pride, hope, strength, and dignity. And basically, what you're saying, Rudy, the strike bird.
I've actually even heard it to the point where I've heard that as well. I've heard some people tell me that the white signifies brighter days.
Okay.
Sometimes I've heard people say, it also signifies brighter days. I've also heard the red's not just bloodshed, but of the sacrifices made. Some people won't even say it signifies bloodshed. I've heard people say it was just the sacrifice that you were going to have to intake while you were enduring this movement, this farm workers movement, that it was going to be a lot of pain and suffering. So that's why they came up with the red. And another thing I know where the flag where it kind of gets a little controversial, or maybe not even controversial. Let me not even say that, but you hear a lot of things, and research is research, right? But a lot of times you'll see Cesar Chavez's cousin Miguel is the one who came up with the bird and the design, right? Have you heard that as well?
Yeah, well, he drew it supposedly,
right?
but I don't know if he came up with it.
But I know that his brother in his obituary is credited with it.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
So he came up with he came up with.
I don't know if the brother came up with it and the guy drew it, but the brother, Cesar Chavez's brother, gets Manuel. I believe his name is Manuel. On his obituary, they talked about he was the one who it was his design or something of that nature. But he's involved with it as well. So it gets like, well, who is it? The cousin? Is it the brother? It gets a little both ways.
Okay. Lord Spike, what is killed by the system? I'm ignorant, excuse me. You know what? I don't know. It doesn't signify that at all. I guess it just kind of leaves it up to the imagination. It was a different time. I'm sure times were a little bit tougher. But it doesn't get into that. It's just, and I think it just comes off a little bit better. Just, hey, the blood that was shed to succeed to where they were trying to push to. It does give the year, just like you said, Rudy, in 1962, that this was that movement for the farm workers. Half Dead here says it's not what the origins of it are, but like you said, that it's known as the norteño symbol now, which is crazy because which is crazy because being labeled a norteño or sureño is the division of raza instead of unity and power, which is correct. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say this. I'm from Southern California, born and raised, and still do live here. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I have never seen anybody wave that flag around, and that symbol, I have very rarely seen it maybe tattooed on somebody. It is very, very rare, but it's usually like in a small small tattoo that's part of a collage. But like I said, it is very rare. I think it has gotten very into the whole gang symbol. But Rudy, just like you pointed out, it was modified for the gang with 7 steps as opposed to the original the 5 steps, man.
Can I ask you something real quick, Ed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think it was Cinco de Mayo on September 16th when you would go down there, go out there. Are any flags being waved?
Mexican flags.
Okay, so
Mexican flags. I have never. I'm being 100% honest, and maybe somebody else from Southern California may have seen it, but just for me, I've never.
That's what I wanted to say right now. Is that I would assume in LA there's a lot of Mexican flags being driven, right?
Yes.
In San Jose, that flag on Cinco de Mayo or September 16th is as prevalent as the Mexican flag out there.
Really?
I'm talking. On Cinco de Mayo, you're cruising, you see more flags, the Mexican flag, or pretty equal. There's a lot of people sporting that, and then you'll have different variations of it as well. You know what I mean? And you'll have a
diner one, the labor one.
Yeah, so it's very very prevalent on Cinco de Mayo, and it's very prevalent in the
Northern California community.
Northern California, where you're sporting that flag on Cinco de Mayo, and it's not just 1 or 2 people, and on Cinco de Mayo, it's not just gangs either. It's
right.
Everybody does it. Right. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be like, and nobody, believe me. I'm sorry, brother. What's the young man's name? Your name again?
Rudy.
Rudy's right. About the designs and everything, but to the untrained eye, nobody's gonna be able to tell the difference.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So when people, you regular, I don't want to say regular people, that doesn't sound right, but it transcends all of the culture on Cinco de Mayo. Rudy's from San Jose. He's been out there, I would assume. You know, he's seen the flags. They're everywhere, right?
Even here in Sacramento.
Okay.
You know, I forgot, somebody was left something in the comments saying that they were studying here somewhere in Southern California, and they would wear the pin of the Huelga bird, and that they had no issue. I'm not saying that there's an issue. I'm not saying that there's an issue. I'm just saying I don't see it. It doesn't, at least through my eyes, living and growing up here, it does not exist. You know, I never ever see it. It is beyond rare.
I just saw a comment saying that Cesar Chavez was born in Delano, but he has a lot of roots right out here in San Jose, California. A lot of roots.
Okay.
You know, there's actually a house where he grew up is like a historical landmark in the east side of San Jose. He was in San Jose for a long time. You know, he just didn't pass through. I'm not saying that that's neither here or there. I'm just saying, you know, it's not like he was just Delano. He was in San Jose. He was in San Jose for a long time as well. You know, that's why there's a school named after him out here, and other places as well.
We got Cesar Chavez Park
where they'll be like Cesar Chavez's house. You're getting ready to come up to Cesar Chavez's house, his neighborhood.
Hey, let me ask you guys this, man, because I think the symbol, the Huelga bird flag, has just pretty much kind of gone the gang route. Do you think there's an opportunity for the roots of that to come back? Do you think, or do you think it's just a thing of history and that's where it stays? Because I'm gonna be real, I don't really see many people rallying behind the flag, the Huelga bird flag, man. Rudy, what's your thoughts on it, brother?
One thing I wanted to say before we got lost is that I have seen this flag on the news out here in Sacramento or in the newspaper as being misidentified as the Nazi flag. I've heard that by people. People has as regular people too, like a person will see us homies with that flag, and because it's red, the same colors, people have misidentified. I remember growing up thinking that it was something similar to the Nazi flag. I don't know if you got. I've heard that growing up. My family's from San Jose, but I grew up in Sacramento, and it's just more mixed out here. Not like San Jose is a straight Chicano city, but out here with being more mixed, and so some people would get it confused with oh wait, is that like, they would think it's the Colonel sign, you know, the Colonel sign, like that, like Aryan Brotherhood use, or like that military sign. Yeah, that's what I also wanted to get people, I don't know if you ever heard of it, getting it misidentified with that relation.
You know what? I made a note right here, man, to make sure to bring it up. That is one criticism that I have heard. The colors, the circle, and even the symbol in the middle is the exact same colors. You know, the Nazi flag is the red flag with a white circle and a black swastika. So yeah, that's one criticism that I have heard of it. Is it just coincidence that that's the same colors? Was there anything to that? I mean, I just read off the reasons, at least according to this article, why it is the colors the way it is.
Even I've read even before, and I was like years ago, that the red was for power, like you know, you read different articles, everything, like we say, you know, what's true. One thing that I read was one simple way that they broke it down. They didn't get in. They just said black was for the struggle, white was for hope, and red was for power. And yeah, it gets mixed up from the colors of growing up out here in Sacramento.
Okay. Hey, what's up, Eugene? That's my boy, man. He said he saw the flag in Tijuana, but he has never seen it in Los Angeles. Yeah. Hey, Robert, what do you make of that? It's the same colors as the night. Do you think that's just coincidence?
I think it's coincidence. You know, in this whole flag thing, I remember reading, and I jotted it down, is the one of the main reasons Cesar Chavez wanted to have a flag was because it thought it brought dignity to the people, right? That was something like you said, to rally behind. The flag would give them pride, you know, in a time and in a job where there was probably not a lot of that to be found, you know. But if they could unite behind this flag, through this one symbol, that it would give them the power, you know, like Rudy was saying, we'll give them some type of power where, you know what, hey, we got dignity here. You know what I mean? We got strength in numbers if we were to unite. You know, I think a lot of times that and he said straight up that was one of the main reasons that he wanted a symbol, because he wanted to make sure that people recognize that, you know, that we have dignity. That was one of the reasons he wanted that so bad, the symbolism. So I think it's coincidence.
Okay.
I think it's coincidence, but hey, you know.
Root beer there, his flag is brown. Am I right, Rudy? Where did you get that?
I had it made. I had somebody made it for me for my birthday online. It was $100 just for the basic version.
Okay.
But,
okay.
But I'll tell you something that's like going back, and I know we're getting thrown off on a bunch of other subjects, man, because we're supposed to be talking about the flag, but because it's so recognized with gang symbolism, is that where, you know, there's been instances in the Bay Area where there's a beautiful mural that has been painted, and it has the UFW in the background, and somebody will come there and deface it because they're not seeing the message, they're seeing the gang message.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's always been ironic to me that a flag that was created to unite, has done a lot of dividing.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen that. Like they'll even write on Cesar Chavez's face, and I'm like, man, like dang, like like they'll tag it up. The other homies, like I've seen that, and it's kind of messed up. Like dang, that it is taken that far.
Yeah, where it's like I said, it was a flag meant to unite, and some people will never see it like that.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll never see it that way.
Lord Spike is saying, with these open borders, are these people going to have their own flag? We are in America. G Funky, what's up, G Funky? That's my boy G Funky right there, man. My family was involved with the UFW. Can you guys speak a little bit? What is the UFW?
It's United Farm Workers.
Okay. United Farm Workers.
The United Farm Workers is, and I'm sorry, let me not monopolize the time. Rudy, go ahead and speak. My apologies.
No, it's no problem. It's no problem, man.
Say something, man.
I want to bring that up because there is not like Central California, but there back in the days, especially in those days, man, there was a lot of farms, you know, here and down in Southern California. Like I said, nothing compared to, you know, Central California or anything like that, but it wasn't too long ago, man, that you had a lot of farms in like Rancho Cucamonga and Chino and you know, places like that, man. Now a lot of that stuff is kind of gone. A lot of that land was bought, and there's a lot of homes, apartments, and things of that nature. But it seemed like all this farming, the focus point was basically just like Central California, which, I mean, a lot of people would just kind of consider it Northern California. But can you talk to us a little bit, Rudy, about the United Farmers?
Well, from my understanding is the United Farm Workers, they like you what we were saying about the flag. I have seen the flags out there in Texas and Arizona of people who are farmers supporting the farm worker movement out there. But one thing that I like about Cesar Chavez, about the farm worker movement, I could say, is that most people don't know that he started his own little credit union within the people, like our own little bank system, if this is true from reading, and which we could monopolize our own money and be able to, utilize it amongst ourselves. And so, the United Farm Workers were able to, have our own money. So when we needed funding for him to be able to speak, and he was the leader, it was something that, I mean, the United Farm Workers, to me, I want to always say, like, with Cesar Chavez, like, one of the reasons why I'll get a little ahead of it instead of talking about it, and my assumption on why it died out is because the people at the time were kind of citizens, if that's true. And because of after the 70s, my assumption is we were started fighting for education. And so when the 80s came around, Cesar Chavez, no citizen was trying to be a farmer no more in the late 70s and early 80s, from doing my understanding. And then the farm worker movement, it seemed harder for him to push if they're undocumented Mexicans. What do you think about that, Alex?
Robert.
Robert, my bad.
Dude, at least I was close to your name, bro. You weren't even close.
You know what? Hey,
I'm just joking, brother. I'm just giving you a hard time, man.
Look, the screen, I can see your name there.
I'm just giving you a hard time, bro. First of all, just to get back and sidetrack on the United Farm Workers, United Farm Workers is an organization that started in 1965, and it was a merger of two organizations. A lot of people don't realize is that there was one that was called the NFWA, and that was 99% Mexican. That was Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta. And what a lot of people forget and what gets lost in the history is there was also an organization called the AWOC. And that was a Filipino-based organization. They merged and became the United Farm Workers in, I believe, 1965. But what a lot of people don't realize is the Filipinos were the first to organize and strike. And that's somewhere it gets lost in all of the history. But the Filipinos were the first to organize and strike. I don't want to butcher the man's name, but if you're ever interested in learning about the Filipino movement, and shout out to all the Filipino brothers out there who were involved with all that, man, family or whatever. The gentleman's name who's very influential in that is a man by the name of Larry Itliong, Itliong. They used to call him Seven Fingers. Guess why?
He only had 7 fingers?
There you go.
Really?
Yeah, he did. But they used to call him Seven Fingers. But he was one of the. They merged, and that's where the UFW became the United Farm Workers.
I just want to go ahead and check out some of these comments right here. Double R, you're exactly correct, and that's what I brought up earlier. In Chicano Park, that's pretty much the only place that I see a mural with the Huelga bird in Chicano Park, with a lot of other Chicano history. It's a nice mural. It does have the Huelga bird on there, the flag on there, and it's so much more that goes with it. VG says what was meant to unite, but was hijacked by gangbangers, though. You know, that's very true. Respects to everybody, but that's not the only thing that was hijacked by gangbangers. The lowrider culture also was hijacked by gangbangers at some time, and that kind of got a bad rap. But it's unfortunate, man. It really is. Capo Regime on Euclid, you got on one side Walmart, DC, and Amazon delivery stations. Yeah, somebody was saying that Chino still has a lot of farms, and they do. Chino's a city here in Southern California. It's just not as much anymore. There's a lot of more building that has gone on. So that's basically what it's turned into. But there was farming here in SoCal, and there still is, but just not the way it used to be once upon a time. Let me just go ahead and get this, then we'll get back to it. What's up, Fischler, SoCal, man? Much respects to you, big dog. My respects to the panel. Very educational video. Thank you, Cholo, for putting this collaboration together. Hey, thank you for taking the time to check us out, brother. So, Strange Days says, out of the Asians, the Filipinos relate with the raza most than all other Asians. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the gang aspect, and I want to tread carefully because I don't really talk too much about gangs on this. Look, I used to live in other states, and I've gone to other states and everything. And at one point, I lived in Southern Texas, and down there were a lot of Northsiders in South Texas. Rootbeer, to the best of your knowledge, brother, is this just Northern California, or is this for Northsiders and gangs outside of Northern California? Because down there in Southern Texas, while there were Northsiders, a lot of them, I never saw them rock the Huelga bird at all, man.
From my understanding, I mean, if it's a symbol of the North, they would be supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe some cities or states don't because they feel like it's Northern California based symbol. But if they support that cause, then they probably they I don't see why they wouldn't. They would be nothing wrong with them when it comes to that exception in that game because they're relating to that organization. But even I've seen like I've seen people who were just out there supporting, farmers and Mexicans from watching videos or of just, waving the flags in other states amongst Arizona, amongst the Southwest, pretty much, where you might see people waving the flag, even not based off a gang mentality, but in supporting of if they know the farm workers. If it's Cesar Chavez Day, his birthday every year in March, it's a national holiday recognized. So I've seen, when they had I remember in 2000, like when they have stuff where Mexicans, we support each other and walk out. I've seen, videos or stuff on the news of people waving the Huelga bird flag if they're aware of the farmers' rights. But I mean, the only way I see it being more acceptable is if it's educated more. And maybe like that's why I try to get a brown one. Like I try to change it up a little bit, brown more for the unity, uh, for the people, and just so it's not seen as a stereotype. I got a red one, and the assumption comes quick when you're wearing a Huelga bird flag to the police, especially.
Yeah, I gotta give a good shout out to my brother, man. One Mr. Mike Diaz from the Salinas Report. What's going on, carnal? Robert, my man. The Huelga bird flag, right? Do you think that it gets a little bit of a bad rap, not because of the gang aspect from it, but because there are some people that question a little bit of the dark history of Cesar Chavez, talking about, oh man, you know what, he was kicking immigrants out, and do you think it gets a little bit of a bad rap because there are some people that have spoken up and said like, hey, you know what, Cesar Chavez, man, wasn't all this great lovable guy. Whatever side people want to lean on, that's on them, you know what? But I'm just asking you, Robert, do you think you think some of that has to do a little bit with it?
I think it might. I think it's unfortunate because he did use the word wetback.
Okay.
He did do that. You know what I mean? A lot of people when I say that, they're like, what? Like they, and I'm not trying to defame the man's name at all. This another time. I don't know it. I know he did it though. I know he did it. It's documented the whole, and I know he was more, what I think also is that there was, he was trying to have this strike, and he was trying to have unity. And when people are breaking the strike, who knows where his mentality was? Who was breaking the strike? Maybe at that time, he's a grown man. I'm not trying to justify anything for him. So to answer your original question, I'm thinking maybe. I'm thinking could. A lot of people don't, why would he say a word like that? Aren't we all Rasa? Aren't we all united? He's talking about unification. I could see that. Some people say that he was, a communist. Some people, he had communist ideas, communist values. It's just it could possibly, but I think in the long run, I think the deeds of the man outweigh anything that he had said. He really did make a difference. That's if I'm going to say anything, let me finish with that. Is that the deeds of the man made up for a lot of his shortcomings because he truly made a difference. He made a difference for those farm workers out there. It was really, the conditions out there were horrible. People, I would love for to take a group of people out there today to show them how hard it is. But can you imagine 60 years ago?
Right.
You know, can you imagine 60 years? You know, I've heard stories of, you know, they wouldn't sell you, you know, they wouldn't give you water. They'd sell it to you. You know, can you imagine working all day and they're not even offering you water, but you could get some, just buy. So they're getting their money back. I've heard stories of, you know, women not having access to restrooms. You know, for the men, it's no problem, right? They can go behind and do this, go do that. How about if you're a woman? You know, it was a horrible situation that this was, man. And I think he made a difference. He truly did. And for that, I think I am willing to let a lot of things go when it comes to him. When it was all said and done, he was able to change a lot of things, man. Whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah, first of all, a couple of regimes said that got that beer also hijacked the logo too.
I heard that.
You know what, man? I'm for me personally, I'm not one that if somebody says something, now I judge you for the rest of your life or for the rest of my life, man, because you came off and said something, you know, especially today in today's society, somebody's, you know, says one word or says something and then immediately everybody is just like, boom, that's it. It's unforgivable. And I'm just, that's not how I roll, man. That's not, you know, that's not how I get down. So awesome. For those that get down that way, hey man, that's your life. It's all right. If that's how you want to get down, go ahead and get down that way. But that's not how I roll, man. I mean, people say I've said a lot of foolish stuff in my life too, you know. So I got no room to talk. So but with that, okay, so Rudy, do you have clothes with the Huelga bird, homie? Do you, or hats or anything like that? Or is it just the flag that you got? Do you re-rock it?
Growing up, nah, my mom wouldn't allow me to have the Northern California. Even though she knew it was Cesar Chavez, she knew though my family is Chicano. We understand our history, but we also understand the misguidance and misrepresentation of the youth. So even though as a kid, my mom wouldn't allow me to wear it, you know. But nowadays, I got a couple of sweatshirts and my stuff that I made my own logos that I ironed on. So a couple things, but not too much. I never had too many clothes with the Huelga bird on it, to tell you the truth, thinking about it.
I want to go ahead and bring up what G Funky right here said. You really had to see what change he made to understand it. And I didn't see the change. That's why I got you two gentlemen on here, because I don't know, man. You know, in Northern California, is it whenever you see the Huelga bird flag? Because I'm not gonna speak for Southern California. I'm just gonna speak for myself, and that's it, man. I don't represent anybody. But whenever I see the flag, and to the best of my knowledge, whenever others see the flag, immediately it's that gang association with it. Is it like that 100% across the board in Northern California, or is it could go either way? Because like you said, Robert, that you have it out there during rallies or marches and stuff like that, and it's not just gang members, it's just to show pride. Can it go either way, or does it mostly lean towards the gang side? Rudy, I'll go with you, big dog.
My assumption is it leans probably like 60% the gang side. Even if you like wearing it and you could tell a cop, man, I know my stuff, they'll be like, whatever, like, we know why you're wearing it. Like, I gotta say 60% of the time, just from being growing up back and forth from Sacramento to San Jose, even like I was saying, my mom wouldn't allow me to wear it, even though she knows the history and the culture. My family understands our Chicano history. So yeah, it sways more to being, a gang symbol, as by the unknown of people.
And Robert, you said whenever being a Chicano studies teacher, you teach about this, and whenever you show the
Whenever
flag,
I showed it, and the first thing I ask is, does anybody know what this flag represents? The first answer is always, yeah, Northerners, however you say it. Some people say Northerners, some people say Norteños still. Some people, nobody has ever said, yeah, I do know what it stands for. It's United Farm Workers flag. I've yet to have that happen. I'm gonna love the day when it does. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it's it's one of those things, out of sight, out of mind. Who talks about it anymore? Who talks about the flag anymore? Right? So a lot of people are oblivious to the flag because it is, I don't want to say hijack because I don't want to disrespect anybody, but it's been, can I say adopted? Maybe that's a better choice of word. But adopted by a gang, and a lot of people associate it with the gang thing. And when that's all you see it associated with, that's what it becomes, whether it's right or wrong. That's what it becomes. And that's the unfortunate part. You know what I mean? I don't, again, not to disrespect anybody, but that's the unfortunate part, because it was a flag to give dignity and to unite. It was.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's it's like you said, you don't see it in Southern California. That's not by accident.
Mhm.
I doubt that's by accident. What do you think? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't speak on it, but do guys down in LA think that it's a northern flag?
Well, I'll say this first. Let me go ahead and read what the Martin 9400 said. He said, "As a lifelong NorCal resident, I've never seen it not represent the gangs. Only except is a mural at a park." I will say this. Look, by no means whatsoever, am I trying to disrespect anything at all, because you know what? So many things have been for lack of a better term, hijacked, right? um the old Chicano stilo that a lot of people see me dressed like, right, with the hats and the creased dickies and the Charlie Brown shirts. That was never gang culture, right? Even like the lowrider culture, right? That was never gang banging culture. It's just the gang culture got into it, and basically, because they're so strong and started blowing up so much, everybody just started associating it with that. So now anybody cruising down with a lowrider, maybe not so much today. I think it's starting to phase off a little bit. But at one point, anybody cruising down the street with a lowrider, it's like, oh, that's a gangster right there. You know what I mean? Anybody wearing one of these hats, it's like, hey, homie, that's a gangster right there. Like I said, I think not as much today. I think the culture in some way is starting to come back, and it being more of a Chicano culture as a part of it being part of the gang bang culture, which originally it was not that, right? You even, take the pachucos and all that stuff, man. And it just kind of got, like you said, Robert, for lack of a better term, adopted. But then that's what it became known for. And it's unfortunate because a lot of gangs, the way they started wasn't what the intentions to what they actually became later on, and later on down the road, many years later. And it was very cancerous, and it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. But with that, man, so the Huelga bird flag, gentlemen, where do you think it goes? Do you guys think it just stays there, meaningful in that part of the country, in that part of the state? Do you think it goes? Do you think it spreads, or do you think eventually it just kind of phases out and it just becomes a thing of the past, just kind of history? I'll start with you, Root Beer.
I think one, I drove, see, because I live in Sacramento, so I will say I drove by the Capitol when they had the farmers walk. I couldn't, my kid got out of school, so when I drove by, I couldn't park nowhere. And they had the Wedga bird flag hanging off the state capitol. I was surprised. A huge Wedga bird flag hanging off the state capitol. Everybody and their mom and sister and grandma. The most Wedga bird flags I've ever seen. More than the lowrider show cruising. I was like, whoa, like everybody was out there supporting it. So that was something to mention about the Huelga bird flag. But possibly in time, as we just have better communication with it and more of an understanding as we teach people who it is, and the more that I wave my brown flag, uh, also will help. So yeah.
Same question to you, Robert. But before, let me go ahead and read what Capo Regime said. He said the Cholo Stilo is now getting popular again with the Generation Z who are not hood affiliated. You know what, Capo Regime? I'm seeing the same thing, brother. I'm seeing the same thing. At one point, gangs really got out of control. I'm not gonna lie, I was part of a gang with myself. And people just wanted the people that did not want to be part of that life disassociated themselves with it, right? And it was well, I don't want to get too into it, but it was a way of saying like, hey, this is who we are, this is how we dress, the way we look. It was kind of I liked it. I liked the cultura feel to it, the cultural feel to it. But it was unfortunate that gangs really exploded. I'm not gonna lie, I had a had my hand in the dealing as well. And so many people just disassociated themselves with it and said like, no, 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 that's gang stuff now. And that's very unfortunate, man, because that culture could have been very beautiful. I think it is very beautiful. And what Capo Regime here is saying is that I do see youngsters doing this without the gang affiliation. So I hope it continues. And look, man, I just I would really love to be a part of it, man. I really would, to bring some of that culture back without any of the gang ties. Robert, same question to you, big dog.
All right, cool. First of all, let me just throw my couple blanket statements out there real quick. First of all, I know Ed always introduces me as a Chicano studies teacher. I just want to let people out there know I don't think I know everything about Chicano history or Chicano studies or this and that. So please, if I said something wrong, I just want you guys to know that I don't think I'm an expert on this. I'm constantly learning more as I try and get better at what I'm doing.
Well, actually, Robert, if you get something wrong, man, we're gonna fact check everything. We're gonna hold your feet to the fire, Holmes.
See, that's what I'm worried about. That's why I'm saying this. And then second, man, I just want to give Ed a big shout out, as always, man, for allowing us to have this platform. You know what I mean? And I just really appreciate the way he goes about letting us talk about these instances or these situations, man. Big shout out to you, man. I say it all the time, man. I got nothing but respect for you, and I just appreciate that you let this venue happen. Now, going to the question, what do I think is going to happen to the flag? Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going to happen to the flag. I would tell you what I would like. I would like for it to get its due respect that it deserves. I really would, because just as you were talking about the Chicano culture being a culture, it's a beautiful culture. Mm. It really is, man. It's such a cool culture. The things that Chicanos do. And when I mean culture, I mean it's a shared culture, right? I always tell somebody, man, it's a culture because you could go somewhere like Chicago and run into another Mexican-American dude, and you guys are going to have a similar culture interwoven because it is a real culture. We have done things. We've established ourselves as a culture. And I would love for the flag to be part of something where people look back and say, hey, you know what? That flag could always remind us of not to get too ahead of ourselves. We had dark days, man. We've had to struggle. In America, we've had to struggle. I'm not going to go off on a soapbox and, America, this and that, but what I'm saying is we did have to struggle. Mm-hmm. And we've overcome those struggles. And I think what I would like is for people to say, hey, you know what? That flag was part of that struggle. North, South, Texas, Arizona, Chicago, who cares? Right. But that flag was part of the culture because it was trying to do something. It was trying to uplift our people. It was trying to get us to better days. It was trying to get us to recognize, hey, you know what? We don't got to stand by this. There was a lot of hardships in those fields, man. But through those hardships came a lot of great things. Came a lot of great people. Came a lot of great lessons. Work. You always hear people, you and me talked about it before. Work ethic,
right,
family, understanding of trying to get an education. A lot of great things came from those fields, even though it was tough. And I think that's beautiful. I really do. I'm not trying to be, but I really think that's beautiful, man. That, you got stories of somebody who all of a sudden was in the fields who became an astronaut.
mm,
You got somebody who, like Luis Valdez, who started the Chicano Theater, and he was affiliated with this whole movement. You got somebody like Dolores Huerta. We talk a lot about Cesar Chavez, man, but Dolores Huerta was his right-hand woman. She was on point. She was there with him through the whole struggle. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. A strong Chicana back in the 60s, standing up for herself, standing up for the people. It's just beautiful, man. That's what I hope happens to the flag. I hope that the flag becomes part of our history and ingrained in our history where we can look at it and say, you know what, man, that flag represented something. It was not for naught.
right.
That's what I would hope.
Yeah,
because once it goes away, we might forget. And when you forget, you might not remember the struggles that you had. And then you get complacent. Then you start being one of these what have you done for me lately? And it's not about that. It's what are you doing? You know what I'm talking about?
No, we're. I think we're there now, man. Yeah, I think we're there now.
I think that could remind us of the strength that we have.
You know what, Brother Alfonso, and I thought I wrote it down in my notes, man. Okay, he brings up something, and I was about to close it out. Thank you so much, Brother Alfonso. When you first of all, somebody said, make the blackbird great again. I like that. But Brother Alfonso says, flip the bird over. Right, and that's supposed to be, Rudy, can you tell us a little bit about that? If you, the Huelga bird, if you flip it over, talk to us, carnal. What is that supposed to be? What does that signify?
They just say it's a nice representation of the pyramid. See, from an understanding is that, everything, like we said, we don't know who did what, but the thing is that family helped each other. That's the point where we could say there's no arguing who did it. You know what? They all three had the minds to create this. That's the point now. So to me, it don't matter. That family did it. All three cousins are brothers. They helped this. So the symbol was they needed something easy to draw. They didn't want something difficult to be drawn for the people. And so they loved the figure of, they wanted it basic. So somehow he created it basic and it became upside down, like a pyramid.
Right.
And that's, I was also almost going to get a flag made like that, but yeah, according to some people, who knows if it's true, but that's one of the ideas of that, they wanted it made like this. It was almost reminded them of a pyramid, and then they flipped it upside down also. And it's you could tell it's pretty interesting. We'll never know. We'll never be able to ask these three men specifically how and what was their thoughts, just shout out to, they all three created it though.
Yeah. I did hear that. I never knew that till I spoke with my homie, man, and he's all like, yeah, when you flip it upside down, it's supposed to be, the representation of a pyramid. And it's a lot of things, man. It's a lot of things I did not know. Man, just I truly do hope that, see, I never really speak like that, like, hey man, them from up north and us from down south, and there's gente everywhere, man. Arizona, Nevada, Florida, Texas, New York, Chicago. It doesn't matter, man. I don't think that way anymore. I don't live my life like that anymore, man. And I feel so liberated and free, just the way I live my life today. Because I don't, no disrespect to anybody for those that watch this and you guys do live that life, okay? I'm not disrespecting you because I understand the struggle. I understand the mental grip that it has on you. So I do understand it, but I'm just going to go ahead and say whenever, if ever you're able to let that go, man, what a it just feels so liberating, so free. You think that the only way to be incarcerated is to actually be locked up. No, you can be incarcerated in your mind and how you live your life out here when you're physically free, but you yourself have incarcerated yourself in a box. Once I was able to let all that stuff go, I realized that I had incarcerated myself. I allowed myself to be incarcerated on how I lived, how I thought, and just the barriers that I myself, put there. And once I let that go, I'm like, wow, man, it's a free open world, man. And I love the fact, you know what, let me get this super chat real quick. Much love and respect for all the positive stuff you do. Hey, gracias. I appreciate that, Italiano 559. Hey, Italiano, to everybody, we're just trying to learn off each other. That's it, man. We're just trying to learn off each other. So, yeah, just to put a bow on that, man, I just feel so free, so liberated, and it's a great feeling. I feel like
Solo.
Yes, sir. Talk to me.
So, are you going to be waving the Huelga bird flag now, or what?
Hey, Holmes, I'm gonna order one on Amazon.
No. Hey, listen, we'll get you the one that says United Farm Workers, not just the plain one.
Yeah, you know what, man? I have never, like I said, I have never seen that flag. Only on that Chicano Park mural. That's the only place I've seen it. Will I get one? I'm gonna be honest, probably not, man. Probably not, man. I do like root beer, how you specified the one that's associated with gangs has 7 steps on each wing, and the original has 5 steps. So, but I mean, just looking at it real quick, you probably don't pick up on that, like you said, man. So, but
and that's another thing, though. The flags, most flags too. The United Farm Workers, nowadays they'll stamp United Farm Workers on the flag also, just so it stands out, so you see it, so it's not just plain and it doesn't have no words. So they like to put United Farm Workers on their flags.
Okay, that's good to know. Denise, try to keep up the estilo. Denise, Special Agent Vasquez never changes the estilo. That's an inside joke, man. Special Agent Vasquez. But anyway, with that, gentlemen, Robert, any last words, brother, on this subject? Any last words, any shout outs that you want to give, man? Anything before we close it out, carnal?
No, I just give a shout out to you two gentlemen. It was a pleasure meeting you. Rudy, correct?
Robert, yes.
Pleasure meeting you, Rudy. And like I said, man, I better quit giving you compliments, bro, because that's all I do when I come on here, bro. I just totally respect you, dude. That's why I do it so much, man. I love what you're doing, and I love that if this could change one person's mind, you did your job. We did our job. You know what I mean? You're just trying to invoke some type of thought, and I love that. So hey, shout out to you, man.
Hey,
keep it going. How's the bike riding going?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Oh, as a matter of fact, if whoever's watching this live, I'm going to be cycling this Saturday. If you're not watching this live and it's past the weekend, it doesn't matter because I've already been there and gone. This Saturday, I'm going to be cycling all over the east side, East LA, Montebello, Commerce, and I will take footage and I'll put it together. Hey, Fish Lair SoCal, you already know where it is, brother. Thank you so much, man. So, yeah, I'll be doing that. I hope to cover at least 50 miles, man. Root beer, Chicano ideas, man. You know, Rudy, you are an impressive young man, Holmes. You know, just the way when I first started hearing you talk, the way you talk and everything, I'm like, wait, how is this guy, man? And then you know, I heard, you know, you're in how old are you? You're in your early 30s, right?
32.
32, man. You know, I'm like, you impress me, dog. You really do, man. And I was just like, when this subject came up, I said, I gotta get my boy Robert Anthony, and I gotta get my boy Root Beer on here, man. These guys know their stuff. Hey, Rudy, any last words on this subject? Any shout outs? Anything you want to promote? Your channel? Anything, carnal?
Just I've had videos, and I'm gonna make one again. That my uncle, his family, was with Cesar Chavez during the movement. His dad, because he has his own dad, and they were running with Cesar Chavez. And I'm not sure. My uncle's cousin's cousin was his wife. I believe my uncle told this story, but we had to take it down. But and so I want to get more information about that. But his dad, before he passed away, his dad used to know Cesar Chavez, used to tell stories about Cesar Chavez being shot up at, his house being broken into while living in Santa Clara, all this FBI tapping him and all this extra stuff. So that's a little video I'll drop one day for you guys. Check my channel out, Chicano Ideas. I just like to share my point of view and my ideas on how I see the world. And, you know, culture is power and history is knowledge.
Definitely, man. And I think with the loss of the Chicano culture, I think we've lost a lot of gente. I don't mean they've died. I mean we've just kind of lost them, you know, with that culture being gone. And I want to bring it back. I really do, man. Without the whole gang ties, without any of that stuff, I want to bring it back, and so we could bring gente back, man. I think we've lost a lot of people just going all kind of different directions because there's no tradition, there's no culture anymore by a large scale. You know, in your home, you can still do that by about, but on a larger scale is what I mean, man. Well, hey, man, this has been a nice thin slice of heaven, man. I love chopping it up with you guys, man. I love having these conversations. Shout outs to everybody who joined us tonight. So many names. I can't mention you guys all. Thank you so much for the super chats, man. And we just want to come on here and just talk a little bit about this. And Robert, you already know what the time it is, brother. Hey, man, you're good in my book, big dog. You know, you always question, like, hey, I don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm like, I don't know, man. You might. You might. Hey, Rudy, Chicano Ideas, big dog. You already know, man. You're an impressive young man, Holmes. And I think you can do a lot of good, man. You got a lot of great years ahead of you. And it doesn't need to be somebody older that people can learn from. Because I learn from you, Holmes. I do. And that's impressive, man. So I hope people can humble themselves and just learn from just anybody who's just smart and gets the right mind going on. So with that, guys, that is my brother right there from Chicano Ideas, Rudy. You guys go check him out on Chicano's Ideas. That is me, Hermano Chicano Studies High School teacher, one Mr. Robert Anthony. I am Thecholotrucker. Gracias so much for joining us tonight. And let's break all the walls down. Let's break all the division down and everything like that, man. And we can bring back the culture, and we can bring back all the stuff that's beauty, because there's a lot of beauty and strength that comes with it. With that, over and out.